Donald Trump is just getting brutally outmaneuvered by Xi Jinping of China and other foreign leaders. It is embarrassing as an American to watch a purported leader of our country who started a trade war against the world get so outplayed by the leader of China and leaders of other countries throughout the world, to see Donald Trump so unprepared, to see him so reckless, destructive, alienating our allies, showing the world that our adversaries are way stronger than him. It's pathetic, especially when you factor in the several presidential administrations before Trump who worked so hard with Japan, South Korea, and Southeast Asian nations in order to build alliances to try to be a check against the growth and influence of China. And now in China, they're calling Donald Trump the great builder, and that he's building China to strength and power that they could only have dreamed about because Trump is so weak and utterly pathetic. Xi Jinping knows that. Remember on Friday, Donald Trump gave that disastrous press conference in the Oval Office, and he was like, yeah, I'm talking to Xi Jinping. You think that I'd be lying to you? Of course we're having communications. Xi Jinping smells blood. He smells weakness. He sees a pathetic cornered rat in Donald Trump. No offense to cornered rats who are far more mature and responsible than Donald Trump. Donald Trump claims he's making progress with China, but can we look at the data? Can we look at what China is actually saying? China is warning the rest of the world that China will retaliate against any nation that seeks to cooperate with the United States in ways that specifically seek to undermine and compromise Beijing's interest, according to a statement from the Chinese Ministry of Commerce. I guess Donald Trump's plan is piss off all of our allies, declare a trade war on the world, and then beg our allies to work with us to alienate and isolate China after Trump attacked our allies. And China's statement is, look, to the rest of the world, if you want to make deals with Trump and the United States that's in your interest, China says, go ahead, do that. But if a deal that you're going to make with Trump is specifically to attack the sovereignty of China, China's saying, we're going to go after you. We're going to retaliate against you. We're declaring a trade war on you. So great work, Donald. This was your master plan all along. You think you're going to social media post your way out of this? You pathetic fool, you. And one of the things that the Chinese Commerce Ministry is saying as well is, why would we call Donald? The exact line that the Chinese Commerce Ministry says is, the one who tied the bell should be the one to untie it. Since the trade war was initiated by the U.S., it's only reasonable that the U.S. show actual sincerity first. Only through mutual respect and equal dialogue can the difference between the two sides be resolved and a mutually beneficial win-win trade agreement be achieved. Now, look, you could say, Ben, that's propaganda from China. They're playing the game where Trump is alienating and pissing everybody off. It pisses me off, frankly, that Donald Trump has ceded the initiative and ceded the strength here. But you have to recognize, as between Donald Trump's reckless behavior, made up tariff formula, threats of annexation, and statements of mutual respect and equality and the types of things that are coming out of the China Commerce Ministry, what do you think the message being sent to the rest of the world is? The United States used to be the one, whether it was through the USAID program, improving our relationships with the state. I'm trying to say America was perfect, okay? America has a history of making some significant blunders in the international affairs and making some mistakes, but the arc, at least, of history was moving in the right direction. And now the United States is playing into kind of all of the things that were said about it. Let me just share with you, just so you can see for yourself, what the Xinhua News Network of China is saying, so you can hear the messaging they have, and you can contrast it to what Donald Trump was saying. Here, play the clip first of what they said.
This is Xinhua News. China firmly opposes any deal between the United States and its trading partners at the expense of Chinese interests, a spokesperson for the Ministry of Commerce said on Monday. If such a situation arises, China will not accept it and will resolutely take corresponding countermeasures, said the spokesperson in a statement, adding that the country has both the resolve and the capability to safeguard its legitimate rights and interests. The spokesperson made the remarks when responding to reports that the United States is preparing to pressure other countries to restrict trade ties with China in exchange for tariff exemptions.
Now, this is what Donald Trump said in the Oval Office, so you can compare it to each other. Play this clip.
We're talking.
Have you ever talked directly to President Xi?
I don't want to say that. It's just not appropriate.
But you're speaking. Sorry. Has he called you directly, President Xi, or reached out to try to facilitate a conversation?
Well, you'd think it was pretty obvious that he has, but we will talk about that soon. It's not that important because, honestly, we're going to have a deal. I believe we're going to have a deal with China. And if we don't, we're going to have a deal anyway because we're going to set a certain target, and that's going to be it. You have anything to say about that, Howard?
And then Donald Trump also said this on Friday. Let's play this clip.
On China, Mr. President, you said you have
You have said in the past that you aren't worried about allies growing closer to China as a result of the tariffs. And this week we saw Chinese President Xi Jinping visit with 3 of our allies. Should you be worried that they're growing closer?
No.
Mr. President, will you pick up the
Nobody can compete with us. Nobody.
You said that you would.
Now, I've shared this clip with you before, but I think it's worth showing. A major China analyst, businessman by the name of Victor Gao, he says we're going to fight to the end if Trump keeps this up. We have 5,000 years of history. We're not going to just give up. Play this clip.
China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000 years.
When you hear Donald Trump say China wants a deal, it just doesn't know how to go about it. They're proud people. J.D. Vance talks about Chinese peasants. What do you make of their conduct in this respect?
If J.D. Vance thinks that he's dealing with the peasants in China, and I'm proud to be a descendant of the peasants, most of us are descendants of the peasants anyway, that's our tradition. We are farmers before, but now we are one of the leading industrialized economies in the world. So I'm sorry, J.D. Vance doesn't know what he's talking about. And therefore, I don't think there will be China-US dialogue unless the United States changes its attitude towards China. Deal with China as it is, show respect to China, show respect to the Chinese people, and don't try to impose your prejudice and biased view about China or about the rest of the world.
One of the things that Beijing did as well that deserves more attention is that Beijing suspended the exports of rare earth minerals and magnets, crucial to basically all of the types of things that we rely on in the United States. Automakers, aerospace manufacturers, semiconductor companies, military contracts across the world. They've just shut it down. And so what now? It's just a matter of time until the existing supply runs out. And then Donald Trump gets cornered and then he tries to make up that he did some deal. The damage has been done. The damage has been done. Listen to what Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, had to say about manufacturing in China as Donald Trump, again, destroys any semblance of an ability to, in order to produce goods there that get sent to the United States. Here, play this clip.
There's a confusion about China, and let me at least give you my opinion. The popular conception is that companies come to China because of low labor cost. I'm not sure what part of China they go to, but the truth is China stopped being the low labor cost country many years ago. The reason is because of the skill, the quantity of skill in one location, and the type of skill it is. Like the products we do require really advanced China's tooling and the precision that you have to have in tooling and working with the materials that we do are state of the art. And the tooling skill is very deep here. You know, in the US, you could have a meeting of tooling engineers and I'm not sure we could fill the room. In China, you could fill multiple football fields. It's that vocational expertise is very deep, very, very deep here.
I guess I'll leave you with this. So this is what the White House is posting right now. They've changed the official COVID government website so that it talks about the lab leak theory from China. So as Eric Koch says, okay, so Trump allowed us to be attacked. So this is what Trump's saying by embracing the lab leak theory. Okay, so Trump allowed us to be attacked by a Chinese bioweapon while simultaneously praising Xi Jinping of China in 2020 for their response to COVID. So by this logic, Donald Trump allowed the biggest mass casualty terrorist attack in the United States history. That's where Donald Trump's going with this, posting photos of Dr. Fauci. I mean, it's an idiotic kakistocracy regime here in the United States. Xi Jinping realizes that it's pathetic. It's pathetic stuff. Shameful to watch what the United States has become under the Trump regime. And I'll just say this, as Anthony Scaramucci, who used to work for Donald Trump, he worked there for Scaramucci like 12 days or whatever. He goes, I tried to warn people in our industry, he's in finance, how bad this would be, but it's still worse than I thought. And he's responding to Mike Alfred, finance guy, saying, Hegseth is toast. Russia, Ukraine not solved in 24 hours. Gaza is burning. The US dollar is on the verge of a full-scale collapse. Foreign governments are selling U.S. assets. Yields spike. Stocks crash. Small businesses are closing. A recession is imminent. But the finance guys are finance bros. We still like our guy. We're still supposed to like Trump. It's ridiculous. China sees what's going on. The rest of the world sees what's going on. And the United States is getting isolated, cornered, checkmated. And Donald Trump's out there spending the weekend golfing. It's ridiculous. Anyway, tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.